Bam, bam. What's going on, y'all? Joseph Morrison, aka you know what? Before I even get into that, I know. I can feel it. I can feel your energy. I can feel your vibes through the lens. For all the people that were following my channel, you're probably sitting there. I can feel it. You're sitting there right now and you're like, really? You're just gonna act like you haven't been away from us for the last couple weeks, really? It's been like 2-3 weeks since you put a video out. And you didn't even say you were going away on a trip or something. You just took a break? Really? You just gonna come back, Joseph Morrison, Coach Locs. That's what you gonna do for real? Pathetic. Pathetic. I know. I get it. But look, I've been busy. It's the holiday season, you know what I'm saying? Winter's here, right? We're kind of preparing things for the new year. The end of the year is always crazy as far as work is concerned. I'm sure a lot of you out there are dealing with the same thing. So just bear with me, bear with me. I got a lot of videos that are gonna be coming out, so stick with me. I'm here now. Might be gone for a week or two again, but I mean, I'm here, you know what I'm saying? But for those of you that don't know me or haven't been to the channel before, my name is Joseph Morrison, aka Coach Locs, and I am coming to you with another video. This is a LOC channel where I discuss LOC content. So if you're interested in that, definitely hit that subscribe button, share this video with a friend so they can kind of be informed on what's going on over here on the channel and kind of get the good information that, well, you came here for as well. Now, as I just alluded to prior where I was kind of saying my bad, it's winter time. It's getting cold out there. Obviously all of us lockers, whether you're a starter locker or newly matured locker like myself, I'm like almost fully mature, we getting there. But winter elements, right? We've got to think about the different elements that come with the winter time and how we're going to stay protected in those times, right? We definitely want to sustain our locks, of course. And there's a few ways that we're going to do that. We're going to talk about those ways today. So one of the things that we're going to discuss are products, right? What products are we using? Do those change during the winter time? Are we adding things? Are we taking things away? Are we increasing the frequency of when we use our products? Number 2, we're going to talk about hair protection. So what kind of things do we need to start thinking about to protect our hair from the winter elements? What kind of things are safe to protect our hair with? How does this affect us when we're at home or when we're out or when we're doing activities? And number 3 really is just going to be talking about, just different health things that we can consider when thinking about the best ways to sustain our locks, to make sure that our locks are staying healthy, staying moisturized, and overall just maintaining your own health for the winter season because, a lot of people get sick in the winter time. So now that being said, without further ado, let's jump into number 1. Let's start out with hair products. Now, obviously at this point, if you're a starter locker or if you're, a newly matured locker or whatever stage of the locking process that you're in, you know that you obviously have to use moisturization and hair and essential oils to kind of maintain and sustain your locks. When we think about the winter seasons and our products, right? Now let's think about what elements the winter season brings. Now obviously it's a colder climate, the air is a little bit drier, and those two things will affect us in the way that it's going to add to us being dehydrated. It's going to add to the colder elements or the cold climates are going to kind of dry out our scalp, which in turn will not allow our locks to be getting the maximum amount of nutrients. Now for myself year round, I pretty much use these oils. I use jojoba oil as like my sealant or my base oil. So jojoba oil is a very thin oil that's very user friendly. It's the closest thing to the natural sebum of our scalp, which is the natural oils that our bodies produce for itself. So our body's really receptive to jojoba oil, and again, it's very light. Now in that sealant or that base oil, I'll use tea tree oil, peppermint, lavender, and rosemary oil, all great oils to use for various reasons. If you're interested in knowing what those are, you can check out one of my other videos where I talk about the different benefits of oils and what would be best for yourself. But that's a very light oil base, right? I usually do that about once every 2 to 3 days in the summertime or in warmer climates. Now in the wintertime, I find that depending on how frequently I'm going outside, which is a lot, so I'll go in, I'll use these oils on my hair maybe once a day as opposed to doing it once every other day, just to make sure that my hair stays moisturized, that the oils are really helping to protect my locks, help my locks to get all the nutrients that they need to stay healthy, right, and enriched. Now, prior to oiling my hair, what I would do every day is I would use rose water, or you can just use regular water, to be honest. I would recommend using some kind of filtered water. And I would spritz that in my hair every morning. And I continue to do that, just to make sure that we're getting moisturization into the hair, and then you'd follow that moisturization with your oiling routine. So pretty much on top of doing your moisturizing every day, you would just do oils every day. Now, that's just what I do. Another thing you can do is use a thicker oil. So something like a black castor oil or an olive oil, you can use that as your base oil and then put your essential oils like rosemary, tea tree, peppermint, whichever ones you select or whichever ones are best for you. But what that thicker oil is going to do is it's going to kind of stay in the hair a little bit longer. It's going to help to kind of coat and seal in the moisture that you've put in your hair a little bit longer because it's a thicker oil. One thing to consider with this though is because it's thicker, this will allow you to do it maybe once every 2 or 3 days. You don't really want to be using a thicker oil too often because that can lead to buildup and hair fungus and things of that nature, and well, you don't want that. So my 2 options or my 2 suggestions for products would be to use your lighter oil products a little more frequently, or consider switching over for the winter season and trying a little bit of a thicker oil base, like a castor oil or an olive oil. So pretty much as far as products are concerned, that's really all you're doing. As far as my shampooing is concerned and washing my hair is concerned, I'm pretty much staying to my same regimen. I wash my hair about every 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes I'll go a little bit longer. That's pretty personal to each person. I would say don't do it too frequently. I think if you're any locker really, you really shouldn't be washing your hair before every 2 weeks. But if you're somebody that has, scalp psoriasis or any kind of condition where it's better for you to wash your hair more frequently, then do that, right? So it really comes down to knowing your scalp, knowing what your hair needs, and pretty much adhering to that and applying oil as needed for yourself. But that's kind of things that I do to kind of maintain my locks in the winter season as far as products are concerned. Now, let's jump right into hair protection, because this is probably going to be the biggest one that's going to help you to deal with the elements of outside, right? Whether it be snow, the wind, the cold climate. Now, hear me out, okay? Now, obviously every night when I go to bed, I use my do-rag. Or if I'm just hanging out in my house after a long day, or I'm just going to be home for a while and I don't need to have my hair, out looking presentable or anything, I'll throw a do-rag on just to maintain the moisture of my hair. Because even though you're indoors, you're still dealing with the elements, right? It's a little colder inside your house, and those things can kind of still dry your locks out. So I typically wear my do-rag inside. So I'll throw that on, and I'll do that right now. So typically when I'm hanging around the house, I'll throw on my do-rag, and I just know that my locks are protected. And I just don't have to think about it. I can relax, I can lay down on my bed, I can lay down on the couch, I can roll around the floor with the kids and play around and not have to think about my locks. But also with the winter climates, I know that my hair just has another layer of protection that I use, or another layer of protection that I can just count on, right? Now, as I mentioned earlier, as I go to bed every night, I always have my do-rag on. And typically I would just wear my do-rag or just my bonnet when I go to bed. But in the wintertime, what I'll usually do now is I'll rock my do-rag, right? So that's gonna help to protect my locks, keep them kind of in place so they're not rolling around or getting messed up at night. But now what I'll do is I'll also throw my bonnet over top of my do-rag, and that's gonna kind of help to maximize the amount of moisture that I'm able to retain at night. And the reason why that's important is because even on a regular night, right, we lose a lot of hydration, right? So that's why it's good when you wake up in the morning to drink lots of water to kind of rehydrate your body from losing hydration at night when you sleep, right? Like when you sleep, you might sweat, or when you wake up in the morning, you just feel a little bit drier. Well, it's because you're losing a lot of that moisture. So if we're able to maximize how much moisture we maintain, especially in our scalp, we want to do that, and the winter time is probably one of the best times to do it. So I'll usually have, like I said, my do-rag on. This is kind of a year-round thing, but in the winter I like to throw on a bonnet over top of it just to maximize it. And one thing I can say is when I do wake up throughout the winter season with my double protection format that I use, I do notice a difference. I do notice that it does feel a little bit more moisturized, or when I wake up and I touch my locks to pop them up in the morning, they don't feel as dry, or I don't feel like I need moisture desperately into my hair. And I've tried both ways. I've tried just kind of going to bed normally, and this is fine, but I just find that with the double layer of protection, it does make a difference. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing as far as hair protection is concerned is, so this bonnet actually isn't the typical bonnets that I would use. I discussed this in another one of my videos, but this bonnet's actually a little bit thicker than my typical bonnets. Now it is still the silk satin material, so as you can see inside, it is silk and kind of that hair protective material that we like, but it's kind of double layered. So it has this layer on the inside, and on the outside it has more, it's kind of still a soft fabric, but it's not, it's more like a cotton, which is obviously a fabric that's gonna kind of retain heat a little bit better. So what I like about this particular bonnet is it's just a little thicker in a way, and it's gonna be able to maintain the moisture and keep the moisture inside this bonnet, which I like. So I find that I'll rock this more in the winter time. They're really cool, and I just got them off of Amazon. I literally typed in like lock bonnet or something like that. I don't actually remember what I typed in, but I like them. They're great. Now, if you don't have a thicker bonnet, that's not a big deal, because honestly, if you're doing the double protection like I do, you're good to go anyway. Even if you just have a regular bonnet, you'll be totally fine. So, winter time, we're going out, we're hitting the mall, we're gonna go shoot some hoops outside, we're gonna go for a walk, whatever we're doing, we're going out into those winter elements. Now, you might have starter locks, you might have newly matured locks that you still aren't fully locked up yet. And with that, you wanna obviously go out with some kind of hair protection, but you don't wanna just straight up put like a beanie hat on that's like full on cotton or something like that that's gonna rip your locks apart. So, what I do is, and I don't personally like to go out with a do-rag on, just my own personal preference. So what I do is, I'll put a do-rag on to make sure that I have that silk satin material, right, protecting my locks, and then I'll get any kind of hat I want really. So wintertime, I'm getting myself a nice warm toque. I'm gonna throw that on. I'll throw that on over my do-rag, and you know, nobody is none the wiser. Is that the saying? None the wiser? Basically what I'm saying is, you ain't gonna know that I'm wearing a do-rag under this, right? So, you know, keep it inside, good to go. Sometimes I'll just kind of rock it like this. It's a little bit more comfortable. It's kind of poking out the back, but that's not a big deal. I don't really care that much. But at least I know that I am protecting my locks. I'm keeping them moisturized, keeping them protected and safe, right? I have my do-rag on, so I'm not ruining them. And most importantly, I'm keeping my head warm, right? I'm not gonna get sick. I don't have to worry about walking around with no protection on my head. And I also don't have to worry about having protection on my head and ruining my locks. See what I did there? I got you covered. I know. I told you I'd come back with some heat. I told you. Well, come back with some heat in the winter? Wow. See what I did there? So, those are some of the things that I would use as far as products are concerned and as far as hair protection is concerned. Pretty much if you follow those things, you're good to go, right? These are pretty much the methods that I use as I'm going through the winter season, just to kind of add a little bit of protection or a little bit more of a protective layer. The third and final thing that we'll discuss briefly is simply things you can do to make sure that you're staying healthy. Now, your health is really important to your locks because, well, you know, you are the soil of your locks. And just like soil of a plant, you want to make sure that the soil is enriched, that it has the right nutrients that the plant needs to grow properly. If you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to be tough for you to grow locks that aren't breaking and aren't growing very well or growing very slowly, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So some things that I do in the wintertime is really make sure that you're staying on top of your nutrients. And these are just simple things like your multivitamins, right? Make sure you're on top of your multivitamins. Make sure that you're drinking enough water. The water thing's huge because we obviously lose a lot more water in the wintertime. It's drier, it's colder of a climate. So you want to make sure you're drinking water all day long. That being said, I'll give you a number. Drink at least 2,500 milliliters of water per day. And that's like base level, right? That's like you just passed the test. So don't pass the test with 50%. That's whack. We don't do that, right? So drink a little bit more water. Make sure water is the thing you're drinking most of because that's what's going to keep your body hydrated, right? If you're hydrated, your scalp is hydrated, your locks are hydrated, right? And that's the most important thing, being moisturized, okay? Making sure you have moisturization in the locks. If we're taking our multivitamins, our vitamin D, our magnesium, our zinc, right? We're staying away from processed foods. We know that we're gonna be able to maintain our overall health a little bit better. And if our health is better, our locks are better. They're gonna grow faster. The health is gonna be nice and strong, right? Of our locks. The locks are gonna be really strong. We're going to have a nice shine to our locks. All of these things are really gonna benefit our locks. So, you know, you really wanna just make sure that you're, and this isn't just in the wintertime, this is like year round. You gotta take care of yourself. So, you know, these are kind of a few of the things that I like to do in the wintertime, and just to make sure that I'm taking care of dealing with the elements outside and I just don't have to worry about anything, right? So nothing crazy, just a couple things that I think we're gonna help you out in the wintertime. And yeah, that's pretty much it. For anyone else out there who has tips of your own, please leave it in the comments below, right? I love that we kind of have this community where we can share information, help one another out. If you haven't already, subscribe and share this video. It's gonna help somebody out that has locks and they're like, what do I do in the winter time? Right? So I'd really appreciate that if you could do that. But other than that, folks, that's all for me today. Just wanted to kind of hit you up with a few good tips for the winter or colder climates. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one, all right? Kojo Locs, signing out. Peace and love, y'all.